A message is spreading fast, a date is being repeated, fear is circulating louder than facts. Some are panicking, some are mocking, and many are confused. When the world hears words like the end, attention sharpens and emotions rise. But moments like this are not just about predictions, they are mirrors. They reveal how people think, what they fear, and where they stand. This is not a discussion meant to ignite panic or dismiss concern. This is a call to slow down, to think clearly, and to examine what truly matters when rumors shake the mind and uncertainty fills the air. Discernment over deception begins with understanding that not every loud voice carries truth. In a generation flooded with information, the danger is not ignorance but confusion. People hear many messages, see many signs, and yet fail to ask the most important question: what is the source of this message, and what spirit is driving it? Deception rarely comes announcing itself as a lie. It often dresses itself as urgency, fear, or hidden knowledge. It appeals to emotion rather than wisdom, to panic rather than understanding. Discernment requires stillness, the ability to pause while others rush, to weigh words instead of swallowing them whole. A discerning mind does not react immediately, but examines carefully, knowing that truth does not fear examination. Deception thrives where people are impatient, where they want quick answers instead of deep understanding. When fear is allowed to lead, discernment is silenced, and people become easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to mislead. Discernment also demands spiritual maturity. A mature heart is not shaken by every rumor, prediction, or dramatic claim. It recognizes patterns, understands history, and remembers that similar voices have risen before and fallen into silence. Discernment separates signs from sensationalism. It knows that not every crisis is a prophecy, and not every prophecy is divine. Without discernment, people mistake coincidence for revelation and emotion for truth. Deception grows stronger when people stop testing what they hear and start spreading it without understanding. The absence of discernment turns communities into echo chambers of fear, where repetition replaces truth and volume replaces authority. Discernment restores balance, reminding people that truth is steady, consistent, and not dependent on shock value. Preparation, not panic, flows naturally from discernment. Panic is a reaction of fear, while preparation is a response of wisdom. Panic paralyzes the mind, clouds judgment, and pushes people into irrational decisions. Preparation, however, is calm, intentional, and grounded. Panic asks, "What will happen to me?" Preparation asks, "How should I live?" Panic looks for escape, while preparation looks for alignment. When people panic, they focus on survival without meaning. When they prepare, they focus on purpose regardless of outcome. Panic spreads quickly, feeding on uncertainty, while preparation grows quietly through discipline and responsibility. Preparation does not mean obsessing over dates, predictions, or disasters. It means ordering one's life correctly, setting priorities, and living with integrity. A prepared person is not surprised by instability because they are anchored in values rather than circumstances. Panic makes people chase signs. Preparation makes people build character. Panic focuses on the end. Preparation focuses on faithfulness in the present. When fear dominates, people neglect what they can control and obsess over what they cannot. Preparation redirects attention to daily actions, moral choices, and inner readiness. It transforms anxiety into accountability and fear into focus. Panic weakens communities by spreading suspicion and division. Preparation strengthens communities by encouraging cooperation, responsibility, and mutual care. A panicked society looks for someone to blame, while a prepared society looks for ways to endure and improve. Panic consumes energy without producing solutions. Preparation uses energy to build resilience. Those who panic often regret their actions later, while those who prepare rarely regret discipline. Preparation is not dramatic, which is why it is often ignored, but it is effective. It does not rely on excitement, but on consistency. When people choose preparation over panic, they reclaim control over their responses. They stop being driven by headlines and start being guided by principles. Preparation teaches patience, restraint, and clarity. It accepts uncertainty without surrendering to fear. Panic exaggerates threats. Preparation evaluates them. Panic shortens vision. Preparation broadens perspective. Through preparation, people learn to stand firm while others run, to think clearly while others shout, to act wisely while others react emotionally. Discernment guards the mind, preparation strengthens the soul, and together they create stability in times when confusion tries to rule, fear tries to dominate, and deception seeks an open door. Repentance before prediction shifts attention from external speculation to internal responsibility. Many people are eager to know what will happen next, yet unwilling to examine what is happening within them now. Prediction feeds curiosity, but repentance demands honesty. It is easier to debate timelines than to confront habits, easier to analyze signs than to correct behavior. Repentance is not an emotional reaction to fear, but a deliberate turning of direction. It requires acknowledging error without excuses and choosing change without delay. When people prioritize prediction, they often postpone transformation, telling themselves there is still time. Repentance removes that illusion by insisting that now is always the critical moment. It strips away complacency and replaces it with urgency of character rather than urgency of fear. True repentance is not motivated by terror of consequences, but by recognition of truth. It is not about dramatic displays or public declarations, but about quiet decisions that reshape daily life. Repentance realigns values, corrects priorities, and restores clarity. Without it, predictions become distractions that keep people spiritually busy but morally unchanged. A society obsessed with prediction often becomes passive, waiting for events instead of taking responsibility. Repentance, on the other hand, produces movement. It leads to reconciliation, restitution, and renewed discipline. It challenges pride and dismantles denial. Where repentance is absent, prediction becomes entertainment. Where repentance is present, speculation loses its power to dominate. Repentance also exposes the difference between awareness and transformation. Many are aware that things are wrong, yet remain unchanged. Awareness alone does not heal, and knowledge alone does not restore. Repentance bridges the gap between knowing and doing. It demands consistency, not perfection. It confronts the inner life that no prediction can touch. By focusing on repentance, people stop using future events as an excuse to ignore present responsibilities. They begin to understand that moral decay does not wait for an apocalypse. It progresses quietly through neglect and compromise. Repentance interrupts that process, forcing reflection and accountability before crisis arrives. Readiness of the soul goes beyond external preparedness and enters the realm of inner stability. A ready soul is not dependent on favorable conditions to remain steady. It does not rise and fall with news cycles or public opinion. Readiness is cultivated through discipline, self-examination, and commitment to truth. It is not inherited and cannot be borrowed. Each individual must develop it personally. A ready soul is alert without being anxious, confident without being arrogant. It understands that uncertainty is a constant, and that peace is not found in control but in alignment. Without readiness, even good information becomes overwhelming. The readiness of the soul determines how a person responds to pressure. When fear increases, an unready soul collapses inward, seeking comfort at any cost. A ready soul remains anchored, able to think clearly and act responsibly. Readiness does not eliminate fear, but prevents fear from taking command. It trains the inner life to respond rather than react. Many prepare externally while neglecting the inner condition, assuming resources and plans are enough. But when the soul is unprepared, external preparations lose effectiveness. Inner disorder eventually undermines outward order. Readiness also involves consistency over time. It is built through repeated choices, not sudden inspiration. A soul cannot become ready in a moment of crisis if it has been neglected for years. Readiness is the result of habits formed when no one is watching and decisions made when nothing dramatic is happening. It is strengthened through patience, humility, and perseverance. A ready soul is not shocked by difficulty because it has already accepted that struggle is part of life. It does not require constant reassurance because it has learned endurance. It does not depend on certainty because it has learned trust. When repentance is prioritized over prediction and readiness of the soul is valued over outward excitement, people become resilient rather than reactive. They stop measuring life by rumors and start measuring it by integrity. They no longer need dramatic warnings to behave responsibly. Their stability does not come from knowing what will happen, but from knowing who they are and how they ought to live. They are not driven by deadlines imposed by fear, but by convictions formed through reflection and discipline. In such a state, even uncertainty loses its power to dominate, because the soul has already been trained to stand firm under pressure, to remain attentive without obsession, to live responsibly without needing a countdown, to walk steadily while others rush, to remain grounded while noise increases, to stay focused when distraction multiplies, to endure without spectacle, to remain vigilant without hysteria. Throughout this message, one truth stands firm: fear is powerful, but wisdom is stronger. Discernment is the shield that protects the mind from deception, especially in a time when information moves faster than understanding. Not every claim deserves belief, and not every loud warning carries truth. Without discernment, people surrender their peace to rumors and allow confusion to guide their decisions. Learning to pause, question, and reflect is no longer optional. It is necessary for stability in uncertain times. Preparation stands in contrast to panic. Panic drains strength, clouds judgment, and spreads chaos, while preparation builds character, focus, and resilience. Preparing does not mean obsessing over dates or outcomes, but living responsibly, ethically, and intentionally. A prepared life is steady even when the future is unclear. It is shaped by daily choices, not sudden fear-driven reactions. When people prepare inwardly and outwardly, uncertainty loses its ability to control them. Repentance redirects attention from speculation to responsibility. Instead of asking endlessly what will happen, it asks what must change now. It removes excuses, challenges complacency, and demands honesty. Repentance is not fueled by terror but by truth, not by predictions but by conviction. It corrects the inner course before external events force correction. Without repentance, predictions become distractions. With repentance, life becomes a line. Readiness of the soul ties everything together. A ready soul is calm without being careless, alert without being anxious. It is not shaken by rumors because it is grounded in discipline and clarity. Such readiness cannot be rushed or borrowed. It is built over time through consistent choices. When the soul is ready, fear loses authority, deception finds no foothold, and uncertainty no longer dictates behavior. Readiness transforms how a person responds to pressure, crisis, and the unknown. Together, these truths point to one reality: dates may come and go, predictions may rise and fall, but character, clarity, and inner stability determine how people endure whatever comes next.